Welcome to this healing session for balancing and activating the sacral chakra. This is the second in the series, so if you've not already listened to the root chakra activation, I recommend that you listen to that first and then subscribe to my channel to receive the full chakra activation series. The sacral chakra is about creativity, sexuality, and sensuality. So this session will support you to feel joy, emotional resilience, and deserving of pleasure. In this session, we will release trapped emotions stored in the body. We will regulate the nervous system and utilize the circulatory system to bring oxygenated blood and awareness to areas of the body-mind. So throughout the session, I will invite you to hold areas of the body to support this focus. I am tuning into the most appropriate healing for this group of listeners. So I invite you to get into a comfortable position, either sitting, reclining, or lying down. And we start by taking 3 nice deep breaths. Nice, deep, expansive breaths. You're welcome to place one hand on your chest, the other hand on your belly. And just sinking the breath and the awareness down into the belly. Nice deep abdominal breaths, breathing in, belly rising, breathing out, belly falling, really bringing your awareness and attention into the area just below the navel, just below the belly button, where the sacral chakra is located. And then just following that out breath and noticing how, with the out breath, we can release, relax, and let go. So letting go of any tension. You don't need to hold any tension anywhere in your body. Really giving yourself permission to let go. Relaxing your forehead, eyelids, jaw, neck, shoulders, and letting the relaxation flow down through your whole body. Feeling your weight sink into the support beneath you. You might like to take a couple of nice deep breaths, breathing out through the mouth, letting go of any surface tension, stress, emotion, anything that's ready to shift as you breathe out through the mouth, maybe with a sigh. And then shifting the focus to the in-breath as you breathe in, drinking in life, breathing in new opportunities, new possibilities, allowing yourself to receive. And breathing out, releasing, relaxing, and letting go. So I'm going to start tuning in. And the first thing that I'm picking up today is the immune system. So from a Chinese medicine point of view, the immune system holds our sense of self. The job of the immune system is to distinguish between self and non-self. But what I'm picking up is there's been a little bit of a distortion in the immune system, and the pathogenetic factor that the immune system is reading as a pathogen is actually an emotion, and it's the emotion of fear. So what can happen with fear is that it literally paralyzes the immune system. So the immune system is not able to work as it should, or in other cases, there may be an attacking of self. So we're looking at these emotions, particularly the emotion of fear, in the sense of it being sort of a pathogen, and supporting the immune system to come into a healthier balance. And it's interesting that this should come up, when we're focusing on balancing the sacral chakra, because the sacral chakra also relates to our sense of self. It forms in the time between age 7 to 14, when we're really developing that sense of self, that sense of independence. So any issues during that period can cause distortions in the sense of self. So it's interesting that we're needing to balance the immune system and the way that the immune system is reading our emotions to start with, because as I say, it's very much interlinked with the sacral chakra. We're then linking this into the reproductive system, particularly the ovaries and the testes. And again, these are our creative center, and the sacral chakra is also a creative center, so energy center. So we're working to bring in the strength of both the ovaries and the testes, and bringing this strength then to the immune system to help support it to have a more balanced sense of self. Particularly in relation to standing up for ourselves. That's coming up as an aspect of the strength that's coming from the ovaries, and particularly the testes. So I invite you to hold one hand over the right hand side of the lower rib cage, which is where the liver's located, and the other hand over the left hand side of the lower rib cage to support the spleen, just as we're balancing the immune function. And then you can just start taking a few very nice deep breaths and just supporting the immune system to come into healthier expression on all levels, body, mind, spirit, so that it can start to read the emotions in a healthier way. And have a healthier sense of self. This is then linking into the testes, the ovaries, and really bringing in that strength into the reproductive system, into the immune system, so that we can stand up for ourselves and be strong in our sense of self. Sometimes if we don't have support during that period when the sacral chakra is developing between the age of 7 and 14, then our sense of self can be a little bit distorted and weak. So we're really supporting this by balancing the immune system and the ovaries. Okay, that part is complete, so you can relax your hands, and I'm just tuning in again. And what I'm picking up now is self-doubt, which is, relates to what we were just saying before about our sense of self. If we're not encouraged during that period of age 7 to 14, we can perhaps experience some self-doubt. And then that will perhaps stay with us for the rest of our life, unless we work to heal it. So we're looking at this energy field of self-doubt to start with, and then we're looking at how that self-doubt can perhaps make us withdraw from life. If we're not feeling confident in ourselves, we perhaps want to hide away and not necessarily live life to the full, our full capability and full potential. So we're looking at this kind of withdrawing. It could be withdrawing from life, it could be withdrawing from abundance, all the beauty that life has to offer. It can be withdrawing from pleasure. So these are all sacral chakra aspects, that really ability to receive that abundance, that vitality, that pleasure. So we're looking at this in relationship to self-doubt. And then we're working specifically with the sacral chakra. So you can just place your hand just over just below the navel, and where the sacral chakra is located. And what's coming up is the inner child. It's these patternings of self-doubts that perhaps we learned, at that during that time period. That we're really working to clear from the sacral chakra, the self-doubt, withdrawal, and to bring in more acceptance. So the acceptance that I'm feeling is really an acceptance of self, of who we are, you know, no matter who we are or, you know, what we're doing, the kind of bringing in that acceptance, so that we can have more emotional balance. So just holding over that sacral area, and I'm just going to start the balancing. And I encourage you just to take a few nice deep breaths, and as best as you can, just letting go. If you can associate with any patterns of self-doubt, of withdrawing from life, almost like breathing it out and letting it go, and really opening up to the potential of coming into a healthy expression of your sacral chakra, of acceptance of who you are. And the colour orange is coming in to really support this. The colour orange can support change, and it can also bring in joy. So it's the colour of the sacral chakra, and it's coming in to support this process of shifting out of self-doubt into acceptance. So you can visualize that orange in that navel area, but also just, you know, literally bathing the whole body mind in the orange as we work with letting go of self-doubt and really opening up to joy, pleasure, abundance. So allowing that orange to extend into the aura, into the energy field, and then sinking really deeply into all the cells of the body also. So that part is complete, but you can actually keep your hands just below the navel, because I can tell that we're going to continue working in this area. So I'm just tuning in, and what we're going to be working with is the Wei Qi, which is the protective energy. It can protect us from climates, from electromagnetic frequencies, but it can also protect us from other people's emotions. And one of the things about the sacral chakra is it helps to establish our boundaries. And, you know, the Wei Qi is one of our boundaries. So what I'm picking up is that within the listeners, there's this sense of, you know, kind of the Wei Qi not protecting well enough from other people's anger. So a sense of absorbing others' anger, and that can be, from a Chinese medicine point of view, that can be frustration, it can be stuckness. You know, so if there's in the collective consciousness, if at the present time, if there's just this sense of stuckness, and the Wei Qi is not strong, it would be very easy to absorb that. So we're going to work to strengthen the Wei Qi so that you're not absorbing other people's anger. And then we're linking that into the sacral chakra. And one of the qualities of the sacral chakra when it's in balance is that it has emotional resilience. So we're looking at this sense of emotional resilience, and it's really linking into the archetype of, which is the archetype of the sacral chakra, which is that of the empress or the emperor. If you imagine that empress or the emperor sitting on their throne, you know, sort of ruling their domain, as it were, including, you know, the emotions. So that kind of resilience that comes from being sovereign, really, you know, being the narrator of our own world. So we're bringing in this quality and strengthening that within the sacral chakra as we strengthen our boundaries, particularly to anger. And then we're actually bringing in a support, and the support that we're bringing in is the sun. So we're actually connecting in with the sun for support for this, so that we can really feel that that emotional resilience, the sun's going to actually support that, but we're also going to look at the archetype of the sun within us and really strengthen that archetype. And the sun is all about being in our heart center. So this idea of, ruling our domain from the heart, this is going to create emotional resilience. And also some of the other qualities, there's lots of qualities for the sun, but the two that are coming up, as well as the heart center, is purpose and potential. So it's this sense of really, being the empress, and really following our purpose and, shining our full light and our full potential in life. So that is what we're going to balance next. So again, just holding that sacral chakra area just below the navel and taking some nice deep breaths. And we're literally, to start with, sending some more resources into the Wei Chi to protect against other people's anger. So that in itself makes us more robust, more resilient emotionally, if we're not taking on other people's emotions. And just balancing the sacral chakra now. The orange colours coming in again to support this process. And really embodying that archetype of the emperor or the empress. And becoming more emotionally resilient. Sitting strong in our thrones. And then allowing the sun to support us, to come into our heart center, to shine our light, to shine our potential and our purpose in life. So that is complete. So the next thing that I'm picking up is we are working with the nervous system, particularly the amygdala, which is part of the limbic brain, which is the emotional part of the brain. And, the sacral chakra has a very strong link with our emotions and our emotional balance. And the amygdala is like the alarm bell of the brain. It's particularly to do with our emotional sort of alarms. And what we're going to work with the amygdala is emotional intelligence. So it's kind of looking at those mechanisms of, perhaps being triggered emotionally and supporting the amygdala, kind of soothing the amygdala into more emotional intelligence. We're then linking this into the base chakra, which is what we worked with, the root chakra, in the last session. And the base chakra is all about grounding, which is going to support us to be more emotional intelligence if we've got good foundations. But what's coming up today is self-reliance. So, that's really interesting in terms of the Empress archetype that just came up. It's really at this time bringing it in a much more embodied way, that self-reliance, being able to do things ourselves, being able to rely on ourselves. But also low confidence is coming up as something to be balanced, which is then feeding into the sacral chakra to sort of shift out of that low confidence so that we feel more stable through the base chakra and more self-reliant. And, from that place, again, we can build more emotional resilience because we've got that good, strong foundation. So that's the whole picture. So you can just keep your hand over sacral chakra. If you're lying down, you can support the base of the skull at the back of the head to support the nervous system, or you can support around the base chakra area, whatever feels more comfortable for you. And some nice deep breaths. We're just going to start the balancing the amygdala around emotional intelligence. And whenever we work with the amygdala, if we can ground the amygdala, it's kind of acts as soothing. You know, any time that I link the amygdala into the pelvic region, it automatically kind of balances it somehow. That's how I experience it energetically. So in this case, by linking it into the base chakra and that self-reliance, it's actually supporting the amygdala to come into more emotional intelligence, kind of, rather than it freaking out, feeling that something awful is going to happen. So we're also balancing confidence as we work with the base chakra. And then connecting the base chakra into the sacral chakra for emotional resilience. You might start to feel that sacral chakra really activated now. The colour orange is coming in again to really support. Okay, so that part is complete, but you can keep your hand on your sacral chakra because we're working with it a little bit more this time around. You know, feelings we have around deserving. So, you know, if we're not supported during that period, specifically age 7 to 14, we can feel that we're perhaps not deserving of, you know, abundance, not deserving of, you know, whatever it is really. So this idea of really deserving pleasure, abundance, vitality, it's all sacral chakra stuff. So we're going to work to balance that. And it's actually linking into the senses. So the senses are how we perceive the world. So if we heard, you know, as a child, because it's the sense of hearing that's coming in, if we heard as a child, oh, you know, you don't deserve to, you know, have a day out with your friends or something like that, or you're not good enough for this, or, you know, whatever it was, then that can affect the sacral chakra. But, you know, it's coming in through that sense, that perception. So what we need to do is we need to connect that sacral chakra into the subtle sense of hearing, which is much more about our intuition, you know, our sense of what's right for us. And this is going to help to make a real shift. We also need to connect it into the large intestine. And the large intestine supports us to let go. So it's going to support us to let go of any beliefs, any kind of aspects that are distorting the sacral chakra around deserving. And what I'm picking up is that there's some stubbornness and some rigidity. So some of it, you know, this is the thing, when things have been with us our whole life, you know, perhaps since we were 7 years old, it's difficult to perhaps see it another way. So it almost becomes a part of who we are. So these things can be quite stubborn, and you know, we can have a lot of rigidity around it. So we're working with the large intestine to really support letting go of any rigidity, stubbornness, so that we can really shift into this deserving energy. So one hand over the sacral chakra, and I'm also going to support the sense of hearing, for hearing our intuition. Then I just invite you to shift your hands just to the outside of the lower abdomen, to the ascending and descending colon. And just taking a few nice deep breaths, really letting go of any old patterns around not deserving, not being worthy, knowing that this is just conditioning, it's not who you really are, and you can let this go now. Allowing the sacral chakra to come into its full expression, full healthy expression, so that we can start to really enjoy our life. Enjoy the abundance of life that is our birthright. So that was the end of the balancing today. I do encourage you to listen to the full series, and also do re-listen to these anytime that you feel that one of your chakras needs more support. Then do remember to re-listen to these and share with any friends that you feel will benefit. Thank you so much for listening today.